Hello, and welcome to another video. Today we are going to explore WDG Automation's optical character recognition capabilities, also known as OCR. WDG Automation is embedded with commands that allows the user to extract text from different sources using OCR technology. Let's explore this feature with some examples. For starters, imagine that we need to get the values from each receipt daily, and then sum up all of them so we know how much was spent that day. To do this, we can use the recognize text command to get the text from all receipts and parse them. First, let's get all the files from the folder. We use the get files command for that. We insert the path to the directory where the receipts are stored in, and then the get files command returns the paths to all the files in that directory in a variable. We'll name that variable as receipts. Next, we will use a for each loop construct so that the recognize text command can extract the text from the image of each receipt using OCR. This command can extract text using optical character recognition technology, not only from an image, but from a PDF file too. In the source input parameter, we will insert a variable storing the absolute file path. This file path needs to reference either an image or a PDF file. It is possible to use an image variable too. Let's leave the language as English, and we'll now select the OCR provider in the method input parameter. WDG Automation natively supports 3 OCR providers: Google's Tesseract, Abby, and Google Cloud Vision. We'll use the latter. We'll output this command's response to a text variable so we can parse the text later. Now, in the interest of time, let's skip ahead to when the script is already complete. Here, we can see that the entire for each command block is done. Among these commands, it is worth mentioning the extract currency command being used to extract the monetary value from the receipts, and the evaluate command being used to sum up all the values from each receipt. Now we just need to parse the obtained text with logic that better complies with our process. In this case, the find and set max money subroutine makes sure that the monetary value we get from the text is always the higher value. The logic implemented here with the case command structure guarantees we're always obtaining the total amount from the receipt. Now let's run the script to validate the results. We have a breaking point at the 18th line, so the execution stops at every for each loop repetition. We can see that we got this text via OCR from the receipt. Every time we continue the execution, we get the value from the next receipt. Let's continue all the way to the end so we can see the final result. Now, in the end, we see that the sum of all total values was calculated successfully. Now, it is just a matter of adding more steps to the script, so this value can be used in many different ways. Another way we can use OCR is with a PDF file. In this case, we're going to use a different example. Let's say we've purchased a product and the store has sent us a PDF invoice file. This time, we want to get information such as the invoice number, the date, and the total amount spent. With that in mind, we can now extract these details from the PDF using the OCR features. In the Tools tab, we find the Extract PDF Text tool, which provides a powerful tool for extracting text from the PDF file using an anchor and a target region. First, we need to open the PDF file we want to use by clicking on Open and selecting where we save the file. The next thing would be to select the target page. In this case, there's only one, so we're good to go. We will highlight the anchor search region we want to use by clicking and dragging the mouse over the PDF. Now, we need to configure the search conditions for our anchor image. First, we select the OCR provider we want to use. Then the language WDG will consider during the search. WDG supports in its current version English and Portuguese. This file is in English, so that's what we're going to use. Now we need to select the search condition for the anchor text. WDG supports different criteria for the conditional search, even word approximation using the approximately equals option, which will enable a new input field where you can select different algorithms to apply the search. However, in this case, we don't need to use this option as the contains option is more than enough for that. We can now specify whether we want the search to consider only a word or a phrase as an anchor. We'll select word, which means that specifically only the word we search for will be considered as the anchor. Let's type in invoice in the search text input field. This eye icon enables or disables the high contrast image filtering before searching. We'll leave it as it is. This paper icon with a magnifying glass over it displays a preview of the text extracted from the anchor region, so we can see what is the actual text in the anchor region. Now we can click on the Search Anchor icon for WDG to do the search. Great, our anchor was found. Notice that only the word is highlighted, just as expected. Now we'll select the target region where we want the text to be extracted using OCR, based on where the anchor was found. We click and drag the mouse over the region. In the Target section of the ribbon, we select the OCR provider we want to use for the extraction. Again, we can check if we want the high contrast image to be used, and we can also preview what will be the result of our command. If something was wrong, we could clear our inputs and start again. But everything seems fine, so we're good to go. Let's click on Create Command. This will open the Extract PDF text command with all the input parameters we use in the tool automatically inserted in the command. If we wanted to search for the anchor on the whole page, we could clear the search region field. We don't want that, so we'll leave it as it is. We'll just add the output variables, then hit Save. Okay, we got the invoice number, and now we're going to do the same process to get the invoice date. And since this is the exact same process, let's speed things up a bit so we can move forward. With the target text at hand, we can apply any logic we need to parse our text and extract the data we want. We need to get the total amount from our invoice. We'll do so by using the Region Selector tool. The Region Selector tool is very similar to the previous tool we used. We can open the PDF file by clicking Open, which we don't actually need to do because the PDF file we want to use is already open here. WDG Studio keeps the file in memory for these different tools, assuming you want to keep working with the same files. We can also select the page you want to work on, but again, we don't really need to do it, as this file only has a single page. If you select a region by clicking and dragging the mouse cursor over any point in the file, you will see that a command will automatically open. This is the Get PDF Image command, which will extract an image from the file. However, we only need to extract text from the file, not an image, so we can close this command by clicking on Cancel or the Close button. The tool was trying to extract an image because we left the image option selected here in the selection. If we want to extract text, we need to select the text option. Now we can extract the text from this file, so we're going to click and drag over the region where the total amount is located. This time, it opens up the PDF region text command. This command is used to get text from the region in the PDF file. It automatically fills in everything we need to extract the text from this file. We just need to check if the language corresponds to the language that the file is written in. It is indeed English, so we don't need to change that. In this case, we also need to enable the Use OCR option, which allows us to use OCR in this file. Then we select the Google Cloud Vision provider. We will store the text found by the command in the output variable amount_text. Then we hit Save. Let's check if we got all of the variables correctly. For that, we are going to insert a log message command to check the values in the variables that we extracted previously. And finally, we use the PDF close command to close the PDF file we used throughout the script. It is good practice to always close the files we open with WDG Automation. When we run the script, we can see that it successfully extracted all the text we wanted. Now let's try making this PDF extraction a little more challenging. Here we have another invoice in PDF format, but it is slightly different from the previous one. The invoice number and date are on the opposite side of the document. In this case, what could we do if we wanted to use the same script to extract text from both invoices? Well, the best part is WDG Automation can detect where the anchor words are inside the mapped area of the document, regardless of their position. Since the area in both documents is pretty much the same, we wouldn't really need to change anything in the mappings. All we need to do here is change the logic of our script a bit to extract the text from both PDF files in a single run. First, let's use the get files command to get the path to all PDF files in the directory in a collection. Then, we'll use this collection to build the for each loop. The fastest and easy way to do this is to select all the commands we want to be in the for each loop, right-click any of them, then go to Advanced, Surround with, For Each. This will automatically build the for each loop construct with all the commands we selected. Next, we need to change the Open PDF command so we can open a different PDF file at each loop. The next thing we're going to do is not really required, but just to make the console output simpler to read, let's change the log message command a bit. Let's improve the output by adding a quick description next to the variable value. We're also adding a line here to separate each loop's output from one another. As we run the script, we can confirm that the information from both PDF files has been extracted successfully, as seen here on the Studio's console output. Now, let's talk about Windows automation using OCR commands. In this example, we will simulate the creation of new users and assistant using this users application. The users we need to register are all in the CSV file. We previously built the logic in the script that reads the data from the CSV. Before we can do anything with the window itself, we need to tell the WDG Studio to run the application and attach it to the execution context. In many cases, we can use the launch window command, but here we are going to explore another option. We're using the run command to run our application. Now we need to attach it to the execution context, and to do that, we will use the wait for window to appear command. We insert the title of the application in the title parameter. We give it a timeout of 25 seconds for the window to appear, and as an output parameter, we will use a variable called window app. The command was inserted successfully. We just need to make sure that the window will be focused on the screen when we click on it. So let's add the focus window command and then select the window app variable as an input, then hit save. We run the script to make sure it does what we expect it to. Our application is running. Great! Now we can proceed. To avoid duplication, we will use a subroutine to handle inputting the information we want in the correct fields, since all input fields are equally positioned to the side of their labels. We will also create the variables we need to use in our subroutine. This is going to take a little while, so let's speed it up a bit. We now need to use the WDG Studio recorder to map controls on the screen and assist in inserting commands into the script. We are going to start the recorder by clicking on the Start Recorder button. The recorder bar will open up on the top of the screen. This bar provides us with many options to map the windows we want to automate and allows us to insert commands into the script without the need to fill out everything manually. In order to use this application in our script, we need to map the controls that we're going to use. To do that, we need to position the cursor over the control that we want to map and hold the Ctrl key for a couple of seconds. In this case, we want to map the entire window and not just a particular control, so we position the mouse cursor over this empty area here. The recorder highlights the selected control in green, and you can see it selected the entire interface. We are now going to select the input fields in this application by clicking on them using OCR. Let's go to Actions and select the Click by OCR command, and then click on Auto Suggest. Notice that this tool is very similar to the Extract PDF text tool. This is the OCR Click Preview tool. Like before, we need to fill in the conditions for the anchor search. First, let's select the OCR provider. Now we need to select the language considered in the search. We'll pick English. Next, we need to select the condition which will be used to search for our anchor text in the text returned from the OCR parsing. We will select Contains. Now let's type in the word user and preview the result. We could limit the anchor search region by clicking and dragging the mouse over where we want to target, but we won't be using this feature for now. Great, the anchor was found. Let's click on the input box right next to the anchor. A red dot will appear. This means that the click will be offset by these coordinates based on where the anchor is found. We can click Save and the command will appear. We need to change the text input parameter from user to our anchor word variable. Now let's move this command from the main script to the subroutine. We can do that by right-clicking the command, then going to Advanced, then Move to Routine. Then we just need to select which subroutine we want to move the command to. Since we only created one subroutine, we'll just pick that one. Now that we can focus on the input field, we'll use the command send keys to send the value from the variable user to the corresponding input field in the application. Since we want to use the same subroutine for every input field, here's what we're going to do. Just as we use the anchor word variable in the click by OCR command, we're going to use the variable input text in the send keys command. Now back on the main script, we use the go sub command to run our subroutine, and then map those variables with the assignments we need. This way, all we need to do is change these assignments every time we run the subroutine to fill the other input fields. We need to do this for every field we want to fill up. Let's skip ahead so we can proceed to the next step. As you can see, we now have a go sub command for every time we want the subroutine to fill up an input field in the application. We have also added commands to map the CSV file and added a for loop so this process repeats itself until all names from the CSV file have been added to the app. In addition, we also mapped the click by OCR command a couple more times for clicking on the radio button and the add button, all of which follow the same steps that we talked about before. We are now going to get the number of the operation from the app's output field using OCR. We use the recorder for that too. We map the entire window again, and then we go to Actions, Get Control Text by OCR, and click on Auto Suggest. This tool is very similar to the previous one, but this time we don't have to search for an anchor text. We click and drag the cursor over the output field, and then we can select the Google Cloud Vision OCR provider and set the language to English. Looking great! Let's hit Save. The OCR command will appear with all the details filled in. We just need to add a variable to the text output parameter to get the text from it. Now we save. Now we just use the log message command to see the text from the application's output on the WDG Studio console. Our script is done, and we can see it in action. Let's run it and see the magic happen. We can see that all users were successfully added to the application. And in WDG Studio's output, we can see the codes for each successful operation in the user's app. That should do it for the basics of WDG's optical character recognition capabilities. There is far more we can do, as this was just a taste. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.